So how would you solve the problem that is poverty? Would you provide more money or donations, advocate for basic rights, or motivate your government to do more? You see, poverty is not the problem, but rather the consequence of a multitude of complex and dynamic complications in our society itself functions. Now see, we all know about the problem. The media has made sure to enlighten us on this very thoroughly. But the question is, how do we actually address these problems and ultimately eradicate poverty from the face of the world? In order to seek the answer to this question, I set out on a journey myself and dove deep within the problem. Being born in a developing country like Bangladesh, I had two options handed down to me automatically by life. Either I use my education and upbringing to escape these challenges and live in a better place abroad, or use it to fight the problems head on. Normally, people here do offer the first option, but being the stubborn kid I was, I decided early on to be a fighter and address the social challenges that lay in front of me. At the age of 17, I decided to start my own nonprofit called Footsteps with 5 of my high school friends. Being very young, we were passionate with a very strong belief that we will do whatever necessary in order to solve each and every crisis that comes in front of our eyes, be it on the TV, newspapers, or right in front of us. It was during our first ever campaign where life handed us our first reality check. This was during the winter in 2013, when we raised funds to buy blankets, clothes, and medicine to distribute aid among people who were so poor that they could not afford to buy a blanket for themselves. We raised enough funds to fill up 3 trucks full of warm clothing, and we couldn't have been more excited to help so many people in need in northern part of Bangladesh. We thought it'd be simple. Go where the poor were, distribute the blankets, make these people happy, solve the problem. We couldn't have been more wrong. Disorganized, chaotic, confusion. How could a blanket distribution program go so wrong? We focused so much on the problem itself that we barely looked into the details of the solution. Why? Because we were shaped by the things we saw on the news and papers. A complicated problem simplified to its core. But what was more disturbing is that when we went there, these people were already expecting to see us, as if it happens on a regular basis. To the normal eye, it would be ordinary, but to our eyes, which wanted to see change, we felt a sense of guilt. Were we actually solving a problem or creating an even bigger one? Let me explain it a bit further. Because aid-like blanket programs kept coming every year, the people in that area were normalized to believe that they will receive what they need without making any effort on their own. They became lazy, dependent, and even more dangerously, greedy for more. Because of so many aid programs focusing on the problem rather than the solution, nonprofits and welfare organizations were creating a donor-based mentality amongst the poor, making them accept that they need to be dependent on others to overcome their own problems and lose their sense of dignity by resorting to basically begging. Having that experience that day made us realize why, even though there were so many interventions from various nonprofits and NGOs in these communities, the impacts were ultimately so less. Even though the experience was a hard pill to swallow, we went back to the drawing board with a new perspective and goal, designing proper solutions itself. For the next 2 years, we just focused on gathering community input. What problems were they facing? How would they solve them? And the results were very interesting. We saw that having conversations initially led to discussions about the problem itself. And within time, people started talking about the solutions as well, on how they wanted, where they wanted. That is when we realized the power lied within the people we were trying to help. By empowering their own ideas and solutions, we were able to achieve initiatives which would have a sustainable impact, because the community now had a sense of accountability with the solutions we were generating together with them. In 2015, we finally took the first step with this new approach and decided to address one of our nation's biggest social challenges: access to safe drinking water. This was a rather peculiar scenario in my head, because why would a country which experiences over 2,000 millimeters of rainfall a year have problems with access to drinking water? While working on this problem, we found 2 main reasons for it. Number 1, there was little to no awareness on the consequences of drinking contaminated water, for which water was consumed without a second thought, resulting in diseases like diarrhea and dysentery, which a lot of people didn't know was happening because of the contaminated water that they were drinking. Number two, the organizations which were working on water were taking a bland approach in areas of extreme cases of water access. Randomly setting up safe water systems in communities without interacting with them properly in the beginning and not even teaching them how to maintain these systems left the communities in shock and dependent on these organizations to address the problem, for which the projects would fail within a short time after the organizations left. So addressing these 2 points, we designed Project Trishna. Trishna means thirst in Bengali, and we were on a mission not only to ensure safe water access in these communities, but ideally empower them with this new resource. How? We would go into these communities first and learn about their problems firsthand, build value on the importance of having safe water, then design a system according to the community's needs, and after setting up the system, we would teach them how to technically and financially maintain the systems so they did not have to depend on any more donor funding. By doing so, we were eradicating the donor mentality within these communities by using an element which used to be a challenge and transforming it into a vital tool for community development and independence. This approach worked right in front of our eyes. We saw communities grow and value water, and the water in turn gave them financial freedom from external donations within a period of about a year. Slowly, we started to expand our approach from one community to another, and then it grew from access to water to other challenges, such as disaster resilience, waste management, and even access to vaccination. Within 5 years of taking and believing in this approach, we expanded our mission into 17 districts across Bangladesh, empowering over 100,000 people across the country. Through our work over the years, we reached a level of realization that in this field of work, believing in people, whether rich or poor, matters. Instead of believing that resources or money can change someone's life, it is more important to believe in a person's inner potential and help them learn the ways in overcoming their challenges. Knowledge is a powerful tool, and it has the potential to change the course of a person's life, whether for the good or the bad. Focusing on changing a struggling individual's mentality from accepting that they are poor and need help from others to a mentality which believes they have the potential to overcome their own daily challenges is the true key to solving the challenge of global poverty. That is why today, the mission of Footsteps is not to eradicate one or more specific social problems, but rather catalyze the change in mentality within marginalized communities from being aid-dependent to being self-resilient. And by being resilient communities who have the power to solve their own social challenges and holistically remove poverty from the face of the world. So what is the moral of my story? Is it to share the story of how I overcame my struggles to reach the pinnacle of success in life? Definitely not. The story is rather to help you realize that sometimes the conventional method does not work, and you do have to think outside the box to make things happen. The story is about believing in the people you work for rather than the solutions, as their belief in themselves will help escalate whatever your mission is. And lastly, this story is about self-realization. Working in the development sector is not about fame or recognition, but rather about getting your hands in the dirt and getting the job done. The same applies for any profession out there in the world. If you love what you do, you won't have to work for another day. But if you do something just for the sake of recognition or money, you will contribute towards creating a materialistic society filled with an array of social challenges. To me, this picture is worth more than all the awards and recognitions I've received or will receive in life, because this picture shows that my work has made an impact in someone's life. Maybe they do face several hardships on a daily basis, but access to drinking water isn't a problem anymore because of the work that I do. Do the work that you love. Chase the dream that you're passionate about. Listen to the stories of people around you and gather inspiration from them. By just doing these, you will automatically be creating a positive impact in the world. I'll end my talk with one of my favorite quotes, the quote that actually inspired the name Footsteps. The journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. I know that the first step towards your dream or passion can be both intimidating and unpredictable. But let me tell you one thing. Once you take that very first step, your journey of making change in the world will be a ride to remember. Thank you very much.